And it looks like we are live. All systems check. The red line has traveled from the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen. Sometimes it starts a little later when I go back and review it, but it looks like we're all right. Sound check on everybody on the other side. We've got a green bar bouncing up and down, left and right. So it looks good from my end. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear it. Welcome. Good to see all of the channel members here today. We've got Mimaru, Lisa Willis. Who else is here? I saw Physics, Hypernova. And we've got, who else? The chat comes in a little delayed. I know some of you are still filing in. I didn't give too much notice for today's live. Had other things to attend to. Quite busy. All right, well, you guys are all here. It looks like Bradley Tube TV's here and Johnny Boy Silver. So good. If I don't say your name, if I don't recognize you or see you at a distance here on the chat scrolling by, it's because I can only operate one screen at a time. Welcome also to the Patreon members, all of you patrons that show up and are here. I can see Bill Spencer's arrived now. Good to see you. Abdiel Lawrence, good to see you. Welcome, Abdiel. And also, yes, let's go, Brandon. Let's go. Let's go, Brandon. Come on. Get it on, Brandon. Brandon's doing really well. Quintessential, I like it. Good to see you as well. Channel member Spall Walker also showing up. Excellent. It's like a full house. There's like 43 of you here already. And we're ready to go. Not a channel member, but I love the name. Patrick Bateman's here. I see it. I just saw it scroll up. Good to see you, my friend. Greetings and salutations to you as well. And Jim Silver, I'll say hello to you as well. And Requa, channel member, or you've been on the channel for a long years has Requa been here, as long as I can remember, actually. In the decade that this channel's existed, I think you might be one of the longer people who've held out to the extemporaneous ramblings of a madman, bored out of your wits' end. I don't know how much of this we're going to get through today. There's a lot. And quite frankly, getting through the news these days is disgusting. It's hard. Even stuff that's not news or not in the news, just going out and about. As you saw in the community tab of the channel, Mrs. Maltby sent me a picture of the, and I like nutcrackers. I really do. They're cool. They're just like my only holiday collecting thing. You know, like I never really had any particular holiday ornament, decor, or anything that really fascinated me. I think it was the whole story, you know, the Nutcracker Suite. My dad would play that when I was a kid. I remember the music. I remember the story of the Rat King, and at night, like these nutcrackers would turn alive and battle and fight these rats off and try to protect. You know, I think there was like a princess maybe they were trying to save or protect. The idea of like these miniature little wooden guys, these nutcrackers turning alive and their weapons becoming real was just really cool. It was fascinating, and maybe I thought it was possible and I could raise my own army, and that was what it was deep in my subconscious as a young boy. I was like, I need to collect my own army. If I could just get enough nutcrackers and they turn real, we can seize power. Junius, we could seize the empire. No, I don't know. I loved them, though. So I actually bought one when I was a little kid. I still have it. Green little uniform, black hat, real simple, plain, beat up over the years. And over the years, I've collected more of them. Mrs. Maltby's got some of them. She's got me a few. And we even have a princess nutcracker now in the Christmas decor. Okay, why am I talking about all these nutcrackers? Junius has lost his mind. Well, I'm allowing you guys to fill in, trying to give you a little entertaining holiday story and cheer. But it has to do with what I posted in the community tab. Mrs. Maltby was at a store recently, and she came upon a nutcracker carrying a particular flag displaying rainbow emblems, and he looked a bit light in the timberlands for a nutcracker. Just, you know, maybe a little limp-wristed, if you will, not have a lisp or something of that nature. He doesn't have a weapon, I don't think. He just has his little flag, his little diamond embedded into his little hat, and then he's very colorful, very rainbow adorned, and yeah, didn't like it. I thought, I should have went back and bought all of them and then just put them into a 50-gallon drum, poured diesel on them and lit them on fire, burned them, incinerated them, marched them right into the oven, each one of those little nutcrackers, and burned them up. But I didn't. I thought about it today. I just didn't do it yet. Maybe I will. They're $10 each, though. Come on. We need a fund, a purchase the nutcrackers to incinerate them fund. And we need to go to all the Targets around the whole country, buy all of these nutcrackers, and then annihilate them. Make them go extinct, if you will. It's probably not very popular, huh? You think that would make the news? What would they do if they found out I did that? This crazy guy, he went around and he bought all the rainbow nutcrackers and he burned them. He literally burned all of them. Yeah. Anyways, that's just some news for you. It's actually happening right now. They're everywhere. They're in the stores. Go check them out. Now, back to the stories. I got a lot of this pulled up. The title of today's topic of discussion, as you know, you're on the Junius Maltby Channel, so you don't know what you're going to get. It's unscripted. These are ramblings. I'm just trying to eviscerate the news, disembowel it, and just go off on stuff. Earlier today, I think it was Physics Hypernova corresponding with me and stated that, you know, the rants on this channel are sometimes the best part of his day. So I try to deliver. I try to deliver physics. I do my best. It just depends what mood I'm in, how much caffeine I'm in, what my hatred measurements are at that day. You know, where the needle is on the what is it, the hatrodometer? I think everyone's got one of those. It's like a little, you wear it on your wrist, gives you a measurement, tells you what your hatred elevations are that day, what you're clocking in at chemistry wise. The rambling course of today's events is going to surround the topic of it's worse, inflation, and your economy. Why did I say your economy? Why is there a picture of like condiments on the thumbnail of the video? Because it is your economy. Your personal economy is it's going to change dramatically, actually. You and I include myself in this because I'm just like you. I'm just another blue-collar guy stumbling down the street waiting for what's going to come next, what kind of draconian or tyrannical measures they're going to assault me with next. You know, trying to dodge the needles as statists try to stab me and inject me with things. Just one of you, another blue-collar guy trying to live, getting harassed by the man, getting pushed around and slammed. And it's our economy. I'm right there with you. I use ketchup. I use mustard. I use all this. Barbecue sauce, salt and pepper. I just used some Herdez taco sauce earlier today. I don't know if you've ever found that, but that stuff's amazing. It's a really good taco sauce. Anyway, all that stuff. Condiments. That's what's on the cover of the thumbnail, right? All the prices are going up. I'll show you an article on that. We're going to talk about fuel, energy. Those things are going up. Some of the media is doing blocking maneuvers and lying. But I'm actually surprised at a lot of the headlines that I've been coming across lately. Believe it or not, I want to believe it, but then I can't believe anything because everything's fake. It's like this giant simulation or whatever's going on. It's so bizarre at this point. And nothing is real. Nothing is true. It's like we live in this just collapsed, catastrophic, declining empire. And no matter what you do, it's not going to fix anything. It's unstoppable. We know that. It's inevitable. It's mathematically impossible. I mean, there's so many. And we've talked about the bankruptcy, how we're morally, ethically, every type of measurement that there could be of a positive attribute that people have as a nation, we're bankrupt. And on top of that, we're bankrupt financially. So it's chaos. I mean, again, I don't know. No, it's hard to tell where things are going to go. You take a walk through the news. You want to see, and I started seeing this theme, and I think this is what I was getting to. I think Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. I think Brandon, the Brandon regime, the Brandon president. I'm just going to start calling him Brandon. It's done. I'm done. His name's Brandon from now on. You know, he's senile dementia. He probably thinks his name's Brandon at this point. Wait, what? Is my name? They're saying that. Is my name Brandon? Why is everybody calling me Brandon now? Am I Brandon? As he trembles with the shakes and his port wine stains. Brandon, he's losing the media. And I'm going to show you a couple headlines. Of course, CNN's still playing their blocking maneuvers. They'll never give up. Brandon could be like doing the worst things any emperor or any tyrant does, any dictator, ever. And you have to just look at CNN is like the Goebbels or the Politburo or whatever. They're the speaker box, the apologists, the propaganda arm, the wing. They're essentially like a part of the West Wing. They truly are. CNN is essentially part of the West Wing. Same with Joy Behar, whatever her name is, on The View. That bulldog-faced, grotesque humanoid. She's part of that too. Another apologist to speaker box for the administration. Now, the inflation thing, that's the biggest thing, right? It's causing fuel. It's causing a lot of things to go up, a lot of things to move. We're going to get into that too. I got some headlines pulled up on inflation. I feel like sometimes we talk about it too much, like we beat it like a dead horse, like inflation. We've been talking about inflation. This channel, again, for 10 years, a decade, but we were pointing it out, making videos, discussing it 6 months, 9 months, even a year ago, the inflation risks that were going to come out of all of this. And now it's starting to rear its ugly head. The reality of inflation is rearing its grotesque and ugly head. And it's looking a lot worse than people thought it was. Today, gold jumped. I'm not going to get excited about that. I don't care. Like I told you before, I know the story on gold. I've read the last page. I know the chapter. I know how the story ends. All right, it's the same way it always does in history. They're not going to change anything. These people aren't magic. They're not, a different species. All right, these are the same ignorant bipedal mammals that have screwed up every single government and economy and attempt at manipulating economics since the beginning of time. All right, they didn't find some new formula. They didn't write a program or an app that's able to do that. They're not going to violate the laws of physics, gravity, or economics. It's just not going to happen. So we know how the story ends because we've seen the same monkeys do this same thing again. They're just going to throw their shit at each other in the zoo. That's what they always do. And they're going to try to get some bananas, and the stronger monkeys are going to try to get more of the bananas than the other weaker monkeys. They're going to fight over them. Someone's going to get poo on them, and there's going to be just a monkey fight. And it's like, they're honestly, start looking at it like that. Picture Congress. I want you to feel like you're outside of an exhibit. Pretend like the politicians are contained. And we have these large zoos. They're scattered around the world. And they're called capitals, political capitals. Melbourne or Sydney, whichever, the capital of Australia, You've got, I think it's Sydney, right? Yeah, Sydney. You've got the capital, London of England. You've got the capital, Washington, D.C. here in the United States. You've got all these capitals throughout the world. Start looking at those like zoos, like open air exhibits. It's a zoo filled with politicians. They don't really need a cage because they're allowed to kind of come and go. They usually congregate there. They get fed there and watered there, and lobbyists attend to them there. And of course, cocaine and hookers and all the things that go along with it. But you're allowed to go there and visit them. You can see them. You can watch the goings-ons. They're just an exhibit. They're an exhibit. They're zoo creatures, these politicians. They're just monkeys in their little parliaments, in their capitol buildings, running their hearings, having committees. They do things. They talk. They're higher mammals. You can understand them. But they're still on exhibit. And we know what they're going to do. They're going to throw their poo at each other. They're going to try to steal each other's bananas. That's what they do. They're just monkeys. Monkey see, monkey do. Again, that's why gold doesn't excite me. A long way of telling you that, right? A really illustrated and colorful description of how I don't think gold movements affect me very much. I don't care. Gold moved 1%. It's ticking on almost 1,800 again. Silver moves, gold moves. That's what they're going to do. But I know where they're going to go ultimately. So this is kind of like the gold and silver thing. It's just, you know to buy it. I know to buy it. So why talk about it that much? Why really pay attention to 1% moves? We know we need to look at how we're getting there. The current events that are taking, we know where it's going to go. Its chapter's not here yet. The parabolic moves in gold and silver, they're just not happening yet. Doesn't mean we're wrong. Doesn't mean they're not going to happen. It just hasn't happened yet. We're just early. So we don't even need to talk about it. I don't care. I never care about the price of gold. I think it's awesome. You hear me report about it all the time. But does Junius really care about it that much? No. Now, you got the inflation story all over the news. This is, again, why I told you it's kind of gotten to the point where it's almost boring. Because we've been talking about inflation for so long. And this year, it just seems to constantly hit. Every day, U.S. trade deficit hits fresh record, goods demand, higher inflation. Biden claims that a Nobel winner says his plan would reduce inflation. Ladies and gentlemen, I actually pulled that article up. I don't even want to read it. I feel like it's one of those articles I'd be dumber at the end of it. Like it's like if you drop certain things in a septic tank, would you really reach in to get them out? They're just not worth it, right? You're going to get poo all over you. A lot of poo discussion today. I don't know why. I'm kind of fascinated by poo today. I think whenever I talk about politicians, you just get a stench in your nostrils and you just immediately think of feces. Like, I mean, just pretend for a minute like a guy, like he's a president and he like messed himself or pooped himself someplace. I don't know. Like he's visiting a dignitary or he's at an institution or a historical monument somewhere. He's shaking hands and he's kind of old. The guy might be in his 80s and it's not uncommon. I mean, people start soiling themselves even in their 60s and 70s. Sometimes if I don't shake adequately, I get a little bit there myself, maybe. But what I'm saying is when you're old, you're 80, you're 90, a lot of these people wear things like Depends, they wear diapers, they have, things. And, I heard a rumor, perhaps, maybe there was a guy nicknamed Poopy Pants Brandon. I heard that Brandon might have pooped himself. That's something I heard. Saw it on the news. Mrs. Maltby told me about it. I couldn't believe it. Speaking of feces, maybe that's why it's on my mind today, because the president of the United States probably pooped himself someplace. It's kind of embarrassing, right? Poo-poo pee-pee. Pee-pee poo-poo. Yeah. You guys in the chat crack me up. I read the chat. Sometimes I can't glance over there because I'll start laughing. I see Patrick Bateman, right? Pee-pee poo-poo, quoted by Bo Jiden. Yeah, I love it. It's unbelievable. Now, this one of you called it. Who said Krugman? I glanced over there and I saw somebody. I shouldn't see. That's the thing. I look over the chat for 1 second and get all distracted. Krugman, baby, third world trillionaire. Pretty much called it. I'm gonna guess that's who the insane, rambling buffoon clown, never held the job, never did anything but read a book and study theories. Krugman did. I believe it was Krugman. If anyone would say something so stupid, the only time you can quote a Nobel Prize economist and it sounds insane, if it sounds ridiculous, if it sounds like it's in the category of, quote, faking an alien invasion to stimulate the economy, unquote, it's most likely Paul Krugman. I've also nicknamed him the Bearded Wonder. He looks like a hobbit, but he talks like a clown. Krugman would be the one that would tell you that, printing off 5.5 trillion would reduce inflation. This is beyond 1984. This isn't even 2 plus 2 is 5 anymore. This is more money reduces inflation. Complete antithetical, opposite world. Not the way it works. It's like saying lead is lighter than styrofoam. I mean, please, ladies, this is the whole thing. It doesn't make any sense at all. It defies everything. But let's let them go with it. These people are insane. They poop themselves. They have dementia. All right. This is the world we live in. This is the best we got. This is the leader of the free world. The man with the nuclear codes. Can you believe it? You have to pause. Every once in a while, I have to pause. I pause the simulation. I pause the clown world. And I have to literally gather my thoughts and realize when I'm reading these headlines and I'm seeing the basics and I'm seeing the state of things. The quote, we live in a society, unquote. The society we live in. When I look at it and I take a step back and I actually pause, I just realize it is way worse than we thought. It's worse than I could imagine. Way worse. Way worse. And then when I look at it again for you know what? Maybe I'm being a little harsh. I look at it a little deeper, a little harder, a little more scrutiny. Examine it just a little bit more and a little bit more detail. Really get it under the magnifying glass. Heck, let's really examine this. You know what? Give me the microscope. I want to see what's going on at the core level of the society we are in. Then I realize it's actually worse than I thought before I started looking closer. Don't look anymore. Junius, stop. Back out. Back out. No one's coming. It's up to us. Anyways, inflation's all over the headlines. Brandon's wrecking the economy. Wants to print off more. Everyone's preparing for it. It's an inflation watch worldwide. Al Jazeera's talking about it. Global food prices hitting 10-year highs. This is an 8-hour-old article. Global food prices. Hungry people don't stay hungry for long. We just talked about that song the other day. People get hungry, they get pissed. They get pissed, they get violent. They get violent, they break stuff. They burn stuff. And this isn't going to be like your mostly peaceful protests, mostly peaceful but fiery protests. When people get hungry and they get desperate and they have lost everything and they have nothing left to lose, they just lose it. They just flat out lose it. And when a society loses it, ladies and gentlemen, when they finally lose it, you're not getting it back again. It's not like you can suddenly gain control of it. It's over at that point. Once it breaks free, once you lose it, that window in time, once it passes, it's over. It's chaos. It's a shift. It's a new era. It's violent. It can be horrendous for a period of time, and it gets burnt to the ground. Nothing left but ashes. And that reminds me, inflation is often equated to fire, right? I'm going to share kind of a little story with you guys, not too much detail. If you've been around wildfires, you've been around dry tinder, dry forests, dry grasses, even after a rain, and the sun comes out and the grass dries again, you might be overly confident in your abilities to perhaps have fire or control a fire in a particular area. And you can watch that fire or a fire hit dry grasses and explode and move quite quickly, and you cannot control it. That's what it's like with the government. With trying to play with inflation, they're playing with fire. And it's on a level that affects everybody. Global food prices, energy prices, everything. And it can cause serious problems. Even down here, Ackman, you've heard him, we've quoted him, we've read articles. He's one of the mainstream financial guys. He says central banks haven't weighed inflation impact. Again, we're seeing this kind of a lot right now. Speaking of fire, I was surprised to see this. The linkage between fire and inflation, your wealth being burned to the ground, eliminated. This is from NPR. This is, yes, National Public Radio. Meet skimpflation, a reason inflation is worse than government says it is. A reason inflation is worse than the government says it is. Now, do we have NPR telling us that inflation is worse than what the government says? When Junius was saying that, I mean, these guys are pretty far left, right? Throw down the emojis, the burning dollar. We called it before NPR did. Skimpflation, I think that we're going to get to this. It's a lot like what we've talked about in the past with hedonics, and the funny numbers that Chris Martenson talked about in some of his videos way back 10 years ago. And how, I'll show you in a second. But what I want to get to this main point first here is when I talked about Brandon and his administration kind of losing the media, I've seen a few examples. This is just one. NPR, I've seen Wall Street Journal, New York Times, CNBC, a lot of them, Reuters, kind of back off or produce headlines that are not the friendliest to Brandon. Now, I told you already, CNN, forget about it. They'll do anything for that guy. There's lapdog. Now, this article, all is not happy at the happiest place on earth. The guests of the Magic Kingdom are restless. Despite reopening more than 6 months ago, Disney World and Disneyland have yet to restart their tram services to and from parking lots, forcing visitors to walk nearly a mile to enter and exit parks. Some Disney fans are acting as though the company is a kind of greedy Cruella de Vil, willing to slaughter cute puppies and turn them into coats for profit. Customer service is gone at Disney, says commentator James E. on Facebook. It's all about maximizing profits now. They haven't brought back the tram because it's saving Disney money, writes Daniel P. Trams need to be driven by multiple drivers. Not only that, the energy, the fuel, the maintenance, all that stuff, it costs money. And this is a poor example of hedonics, in my opinion, because it's not only reducing services like on trams. Skimping out is across the board, even on serving portion sizes and It could also be the quality of the products that go into the end product. They talk about Domino's taking longer to deliver pizzas. I think there's a lot of this when it comes to even the quality or the size or amount of goods that people are receiving. They're just giving you less chips in the bag, if you know what I mean. That's really the most. Here you go. He actually writes it here, hedonic quality adjustment. That's another example. We've talked about all of these things. Hedonics is a very important topic when you start examining inflation, because there's going to be things that pop up on how they hide these inflation numbers from you and how they fool the public. They can't fool you. They're not going to fool me. But they're going to fool a lot of them. They're going to fool the people that are still holding dollars and the ones that are too busy watching their sports to get it. But you'll see changes in quality of the products. And a lot of times even they'll use this. Let's just look it up again. I remember the actual definition exactly. One of the things they'll do is if a new TV comes out, for example, and it's the same price as last year, but there's technological improvements to it, they'll measure this for people as and adjust it to where it's actually cheap. They'll make believe it's cheaper and inflation went down. Does that make sense to you at all? It's a weird point. I know. If you bought it for $100 last year and the same thing's $100 this year, but there's any technological improvements to it all, even if the price went up, it's 110, they'll knock that 10 off and say there was no price increase because there was technological improvements to the same product. So there's all kinds of ways of how they hide and adjust the CPI to lie to you. Anytime they say adjust the CPI, it's just a way to hide that inflation's happening, to lie, bury the facts, change the story. U.S. trade deficit hit a record on goods demand. Higher inflation. There's all these ships. You can still see it. They talk about it every day, the supply chain backlog. It's unbelievable. The ships in LA Harbor, hundreds and hundreds of ships just sitting there waiting to be unloaded. And no one's talking about the mandates, vax mandates, mask mandates, the free money that Brandon gave out, all this stuff. It's entirely his fault. People don't want to work because they got all the government free money, the Gibbs, right? You all know that. The Gibbs keeps coming, and then so no one's going to work. Remember, unemployment perpetuates unemployment. Hans Herman Hoppe, the big article on that. We've talked about it. Hey, thanks for the super chat, Mick D57. I appreciate it. Everyone's opinion on minimum foundational stacks. Let the chat answer that. They'll have a great discussion with you, but good question. I appreciate it, my friend. Good talk. Thank you for the super chat. And to everyone who's a channel member, if you would like to, jump on in and give Mick D57 or anyone for that matter your take, your observations on what a minimal stack might be. I've addressed it in the past, and I'll let the chat take it from there. Biden's claim that Nobel winner says his plan would reduce inflation. So Brandon, let's hear what Brandon says here. Now we know for a fact that the guy's nuts, right? He can't, everything's his fault right now. He's got to own it. The vax mandates, the mask mandates, all the free money in the Gibbs, extending unemployment, all that. Causing further unemployment, perpetuating unemployment, causing further supply shocks, wrecking the economy, causing inflation, hurting everyone's bottom line, even fixed income and pensioners, all those people. And he's lying the whole time. He's delirious. He's pooping his pants. He's lying to people. He's getting lost. I've seen videos of the guy staggering down the, getting lost with his security, unable to know where he's navigating. The guy's unable to navigate a 20-foot length of sidewalk. And he's expected to, steer and direct this nation. Anyways, this is great because where is my economist? The Nobel laureates. They always talk about the Nobel laureates, right? Biden, where is it? Okay, let's just read the quote. You had a total, this is a quote from President Biden. You had a total of 14, I think it was 14, Nobel laureate economists in economics. What else would they be economists in, Biden? Brandon? Nobel, this is a direct quote, in economics, saying this is going to, what I'm proposing is going to reduce inflation, etc. He said that October 31st. Biden in a CNN interview at CNN Town Hall, October 21st. I had 17 Nobel laureates in economics send me a letter recently saying my proposals would actually reduce inflation, diminish inflation. 17. No, these are all quotes from Biden. 17 Nobel laureates spontaneously, Nobel laureates in economy, this is his words, sent me a letter 3 weeks ago saying it will also reduce, not increase inflation. I'm going to read that quote directly again. This guy is freaking delirious, ladies and gentlemen. Quote, 17 Nobel laureates, spontaneously, Nobel laureates in economy, sent me a letter 3 weeks ago saying it will also reduce, not increase inflation, unquote. That's Biden in Scranton, PA. This delirious buffoon, this clown. And then he said it again. By the way, 15 Nobel laureates in economics released a letter yesterday arguing that exact same point. They said, and I quote, and this is from 15 Nobel laureates in economics, quote, because this agenda, the one I'm talking about, mine, because this agenda invests in long-term economic capacity and will enhance the ability of more Americans to participate productively in the economy, it will ease long-term inflationary pressures. It will ease it. Base tradesman, thanks for the super chat. He just wanted to say, sports! Sports! Yeah, it's a good song, sports. Oh, man. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Build Back Better plan, the $5.5 trillion total, $3.5 plus the $1.5 trillion for whatever they call it, the Human Investment Infrastructure Plan, all this stuff. He thinks it's going to reduce inflation. We know that's not true. We know this isn't true. I'm not going to take anything he says. We already know the guy's a confirmed. I mean, come on, Popcorn, whatever his name. We already know that the guy's a pathological liar. He's nuts. He's delirious. So these are the rumblings and the ramblings and the mamblings of a, not like I say I'm a madman. These are the ones of a town. I don't want to call him. What do you call him? He's the handicap guy. I mean, let's put it this way. Dementia ward. If you've been to a dementia ward, I've been to quite a few. You ever been to one for a while? Some guy in a dementia ward rolls up to you in his wheelchair and tells you that, we're still in the middle of World War II. And FDR's the president. Do you take him seriously? Do you listen to him? Do you believe him? You know what I'm saying here? There are certain people that are aged. Nothing against them at all. I have nothing against them. I'll probably be there. I can guarantee you when I'm senile, when I'm dementia, it's going to be over. Someone's going to have to come put me down like a sick animal. I'll be right there with them. I'll probably be one of the worst cases you ever saw. But you can't take everything people like Biden say seriously. You can't believe him. He's mumbling. He's a mumbling buffoon at this point. We know that everything he says is inaccurate. It's not true. We know that. Former Clinton Treasury Secretary, the Biden administration is not grasping the concern of inflation. I think it's almost certain to last for another 6 to 9 months. Oh, I knew it was going to be Larry Summers. That's the guy. He was one of the head guys in the Clinton administration. Treasury Secretary. I remember you've seen his name quite a bit, Larry Summers. He thinks it's going to go a lot longer. So now he's agreeing that it's not transitory, which we've talked about. We've already got to that conclusion. How many times have we seen article after article after article discussing how it's going to be a little longer, it's going to take a little longer, it's going to last a little longer, inflate. We're not out of the woods yet. I mean, these people were telling us that we were supposed to have transitory, temporary inflation. It'd all be done, it'd be gone. And, I'm not going to, I know there's people out there that still think that. They still think we're going to go into some deflationary spiral. They're holding on. They're clinging to that. They're clinging on to it. Let them believe it. You're not going to change their mind. They believe in little economic theories. They believe these guys. Let them. Let them believe the Nobel laureates. Let them believe the Paul Krugmans. We'll see how far they get. And even Larry Summers thinks that it's going to last longer. It's here. It's here. I mean, we've got surging grocery store prices. Look at this. Supply chain bottlenecks. You wait. Food shortages are no laughing matter. I mean, if you can't get your Christmas decorations, you can't get some lights, some bulbs or stuff, big deal, right? But when the bread aisle looks like this, or the rice aisle and there's no rice and you can't get food, it's a little bit different. It gets really ugly really quickly, like I already talked about with you. But now the Fed's talking about tapering because I think they're scared. I think they're actually panicking. And just like in 07, 08, I think they're going to be a little late. They're always a day late, a dollar short. Day late, 30 trillion short, we'll call it 30 trillion short. Fed's usually pretty short. The Treasury. U.S. is short for sure. All of them are. It's over. They're broke. Kraft, Heinz, Mondelez plan to hike prices for popular snacks and sweets amid rising inflation, report. Can't blame anyone but the people responsible for printing the dollars. Oh, they don't print them, Junius. Well, I know that. Come on. You know what I mean. The word print synonymous with money creation, expanding the money supply. I don't care how I do it. Digits on a screen, wire transfers, hitting a keyboard, whatever. A couple keystrokes and they're there. Add the zeros, add the commas, put a decimal in here, put a decimal in there, whatever. Voila, boom, you got trillions. I don't know. I don't care. They don't print it. Yeah. The people that are expanding the money supply did this. They did this. They got names. They got addresses. You know the guys. They got suits. They work places. You know who they are. They're on the news. The guys at the Fed, the Treasury, the President, the Congress. All those sons of bitches. They're the ones that did this, all right? Like I told you before, this isn't some spontaneous ooze. Like, it didn't just evolve out of a swamp someplace. This predicament, this inflation, this rising inflation that's not transitory, that's going to be semi-permanent, this economic collapse that's been orchestrated, the architects of all of this madness are people. Well, they're those monkeys that are on an exhibit that I told you about. The cageless exhibit known as the Capitol. The open-air exhibit. A display. You can go there. You can fly in. You can drive there. You can see the sights. You can watch them in their hysteria, in their antics. They're the ones that brought this about. It's not an accident. It wasn't a mistake. They did this to you, to your economy. And it's worse than I thought. It's worse than you thought. And it gets worse every day. Prices are rising by significant percentages, 7 to 10%, 3.5%, 7.25%. A lot of stuff going up in value here. And now here's a surprising article here. Democrats' war on suburban women includes inflation fueling reckless spending. This is from the New York Post. Democrats' war. I mean, that's a pretty heavy hit right there. That's a lot of blame. And I mean, this is, again, like I told you, Junius Maltby gets accused of some stuff. There's a lot of people that think that, you know, how Junius is negative. Junius, they'll leave comments in the community tabs, you know, or Debbie, you know, all of you. They talk about you guys as the viewers of the channel, too, the community as a whole. Debbie Downers, pessimists, you know, that kind of thing. And like I said before, every turn of the page in this script, in this simulation in the last 2 years, is worse than I thought it would be. It just keeps getting, it's worse. I take a closer look, man, it's worse than I thought. It's way worse than that. Oh my goodness, it's way worse than I thought. But I've talked to you guys about fixed income earners, pensioners, retirees, people on Social Security, all that stuff. And of course, like the single moms, according to this article, I'm assuming when they're talking about suburban women or just people, the housewives or whatever, the ones who, I don't know why they're putting them in there. We'll see. We'll get into the article. But it says the Democrats are placing blame on the Democrats, calling it a war on suburban women, talking about inflation fueling reckless spending. I mean, the key to beating Trump, Democrats told us, was suburban women. Article opens up with. They found that Donald crass and overbearing and unsuitable. Instead, Democrats gave them soothing figure of Uncle, I'd call him creepy pedo Joe, but Uncle Joe Biden, Uncle Joe, is moving kind of slow these days. But after 40 years in politics, he offered a reassuring promise of returning to normalcy. But no, instead, it's as if the Democratic Party has gone out of its way to alienate those very suburban women. The school board offensive, we saw that whole thing. The massive political upheaval. I'm not going to talk about it too much on the channel. I think you guys have seen it enough on the mainstream news. But there's been some incredible stuff taking place in the last week with the Democrats failing to rig the election their way like they probably tried. What is this coming in? Mrs. Maltby? Let's see. She's saying, says, Dearest Junius, interrupting you from our other bunker. There's a raid November 5th. Yes, I know that. That's right. There is a raid November 5th. Mrs. Maltby. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, inflation is hurting these. I won't even say just women. I know there's a lot of single guys out there too. You guys got to do your own shopping. And a lot of you guys feel like me. You like cereal. So General Mills, they got slapped for cutting their family-sized cereal boxes from 19.3 ounces to 18.1. See that? See that? Tillamook cut its ice cream tubs from 56 ounces to 48. This is the shrinkflation stuff. And there's a lot of this in this article talking about shrinkflation, Doritos getting smaller, more expensive. So they're giving you less, they're charging you more. It's happening all over. Fuel, gas, energy, all of this is this guy and his administration's fault. It says right here under an AP photo. Do you see this? Please tell me you can read. Higher mammal, can you read? Biden's spending is hurting the people who put him in office. They better remember this. I'll tell you one thing. If the stupid, dumbass Republicans, if they don't use this and put this on every screen, every bus bench, every bus stop, every taxi cab door, every billboard, every news and radio frequency that there is, if they don't adequately place the blame for inflation and the hardship that people are experiencing on this man, his party, and his office, and those who put him in power, they lost the ball. They missed it. You want to know why you're not making ends meet? This MFer. This piece of shit. Having a hard time? They turn your lights out? Blame this guy, huh? We know it. He's wrecking the economy. He's wrecking the country. He's the reason they got rainbow nutcrackers at Target. Sure, he had something. The only reason they're brazen enough to do that is because he got this guy in there. And now the Fed's panicked. Oh, are they panicked? Like I said, not a day late and a dollar short, day late 30 trillion short. Just like the housing market. They came in too late. They're not going to fix it. It's like trying to pull the yoke back on a plane after you auger in nose first. They're going to start tapering their bond purchases later this month as it begins pulling back on pandemic aid. Too late. Economy's already broke. Not going to work. Nobody cares. So they're going to start pulling back. You're going to see some volatility. There's going to be some gyrations. It's going to be insane for a little bit. They'll taper back. You know what? Last time they did that when the economy was overheated the way it is right now, and we just hit an all-time high. Remember, I just recently took you through the timeline. Do you remember that? We just did a video the other day. We revisited the timeline of the last economic meltdown. As soon as it peaked, the Fed tapered, the economy got wrecked. It's the same script, same game. They're doing the same thing here right now. Gas prices are skyrocketing, CNN says. And they're blaming it on as the global energy crisis worsens. Now, what did I tell you? These are the only fake news dumb sons of bitches over at CNN. He's queer. These are the only ones. These are the only ones. They still got to blame something else. It's probably Trump's fault because of like oil and Trump and Bush and all these guys, right? Gas prices skyrocket. It's a global energy crisis. It's global warming. We didn't listen. It's getting too warm. It's the sun. It's climate change. That's what CNN's going to tell you. They can't blame Brandon. He's their guy. Can't be Brandon's fault. They love Brandon. They get mad if you talk anything about him. They don't even like that I call him Brandon. CNN wants to ban the name Brandon. Did you see that? They want to ban it. The name, the word, you can't say Brandon, let's go Brandon, or nothing about it. It's an illegal word. It's the Untermenschen. I heard that Facebook was pulling it down, or somebody was. There was somewhere, I don't know which site it was, but somewhere they were banning it and taking it down. I feel sorry for the kids named Brandon these days. Their name is literally profanity and tied to the president, the worst president U.S. history ever had. Cost of energy was dirt cheap in the spring of 2020 as roads and airports sat nearly empty. No, CNN, you're wrong. It's because of the policies of the president at the time in 2020 that gave us cheap energy and fuel. Energy today, the reason it's the way it is, because a lot of countries still on lockdown, is because of inflation and because of a weakening, devaluing, debased dollar because of your dumb Brandon. Brandon did it. My oil buddy said $100 to $140 oil is easily in the cards. It's coming. And it's not because of an energy crisis at all. He's in the oil industry. It's because of the dollar. It's because of the economy. It's because of inflation. That is why. So CNN, I'm sure they had some Nobel laureates. I wouldn't be surprised if Matt Egan here is a Nobel laureate with CNN. And he's one of the Nobel laureates that wrote Biden's little accolades and accommodations and say, hey, yeah, do it, man. Print more money. It doesn't cause any problems. That's the level of intellect we're battling here. These are the guys. They blame gas prices on an energy crisis when it's clearly the economy. So either he's that stupid, this Matt Egan, either he's that much of an effing retard, a complete tread, or he's lying to you. Which is it? Is Matt Egan stupid, that stupid? Or is he lying? Does he have an agenda? Is he selling you a bill of goods? I think he's lying. Maybe both. Could he be a stupid liar? Maybe. Hard to tell these days. Hard to tell. Came across the last and final article we'll discuss today about Zillow collapsing. Is Zillow collapse a warning sign? As you know, Zillow tracks real estate prices and stuff. And pretty big website. I don't use it though. I don't even know how they have any value. I don't know what their service is. I don't know how there's a value attached to Zillow, but I guess there is one. Watching Zillow move from $200 per share in recent levels below 90 to recent levels below 90, reflecting a more than 55% collapse in price, while the housing market continues to rally, may be an indication that traders and investors have already discounted the future peak in the U.S. capital markets and real estate assets related to the current market environment. Zillow is not the only symbol experiencing this broad price decline. Redfin has also declined more than 54% over the last 7 months. Is the peak in real estate flippers prices setting a strong warning for traders and investors? The peak in these stocks happened near February 16th to 22nd of 2021. This date, interestingly enough, aligns with a peak in global capital markets using my proprietary Smart Cash Index and a very clear peak in the Chinese Hang Seng Index. This guy's technical point is this a warning sign? Is this a warning sign? Zillow has over 2,800 U.S. homes available for sale. We are not aware of how many homes have been purchased and are waiting for completed repairs and inspections before they go on the market. The article also suggests that flipping companies are still actively engaging in this risky activity. Opendoor peaked at share price near the same February dates. So it looks like all these real estate tracking funds or investment opportunities all peaked around the same time and that they're declining. I think there is going to be a real estate contraction, a massive real estate contraction. I think that there's going to be similar to 07, 08. We'll see. I mean, a 50 to 55% downside for companies like this, for stocks like this, that's pretty significant. Somebody sees something. Somebody knows something. Again, remember, there's people making trades way before, way ahead of the curve. They have way more access to information and more information than you'll ever see. But these real estate flipper firms, I don't know. I think something's going on. Maybe they see something. Maybe they see real estate dipping. We'll see. We will see. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for today. Tonight's broadcast. I thank you all for tuning in, being here, being part of the channel. Thanks for your support. Thanks to all of you who were part of the raid the other night. That was awesome. It was wonderful having all of you for the Honklerween raid here on the Junius Maltby Channel. Thanks for tuning into that news and entertainment as we took over 1,000 ounces of silver, I believe it was. Lisa Willis has the exact numbers. I thought it was over 1,000 ounces or something. A good fat comics bar. But, big thank you, tremendous shout out to Lisa Willis, the raid accountant. She keeps track of all those ounces that all of you disclose and share with her in the comments. And it's a pretty good, I would say, it's an accurate ballpark figure. If we're missing a little bit here or there, we could be off by 1 or 2%, but I think we're doing pretty good. Lisa adds all that up, and it looks like with all of the raids so far, we've taken over 21,000 ounces of silver here on the channel, live, in raids on this channel, just this channel, 21,000 ounces of silver. That's 21 Comex bars, ladies and gentlemen, 21. We're going to raid again tomorrow. But the raids are only as good and as powerful and as strong as all of you make them. It's up to you to spread the word. It's up to you to invite others. It's up to you to be there, to show up, to tune in, to share how much silver you got, to be truthful, honest, and open, and accurate. And if you don't want to, that's fine. Believe me. I think more people don't share it, and I think that's a good thing. So if we bought 21,000 ounces that's been disclosed, I said the greatest chance would be that a lot of people don't share how much. I don't think many of mine have even been included in those totals. So I think a lot of people who raid might not disclose the amount for absolutely proper and fine reasons. It's okay. I would imagine we might be closer to 25,000 or in that range. Add a couple thousand ounces for people that did not disclose it. We'll see. Thanks for tuning in, all of you, my good friends. You guys are good, the best. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, let's go, Brandon. Spread that chant. Start it someplace. Share that story with me here. That's a Junius Maltby Channel challenge. Go out there. If you're at someplace public, you're doing something, whatever, try it out. You're at a shopping mall at Christmas time. You're out by the fountain in the middle of a big mall or a food court. Start clapping your hands. Get the chant going. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. And then even maybe you could even try the profane version. If people really take to it and they like it and they start saying it, maybe switch gears. Hey, any of you guys ever heard the F word before? How about we throw that in there? And then let's use Brandon's real name. Boom. Hey, does your mother sew? Boom. Have her sew that. You know what I mean? Get that chant going. Make it viral. Make it happen. Film it. Send it to me. I'll put it here on the channel. I promise you that. If one of you guys recorded that, I can guarantee you it would be on the Junius Maltby Channel. So get that file filmed or write me a good story and I'll read it. But it better be true. You better sign it. It better be accurate. Don't make a fable up. Don't tell me or spin me a yarn. I want to hear the truth. The truth. Nothing but the truth. So help you. But spread it. Get out there. Come on. Flip some tables over. Let's do it. Keep being rebellious. Don't consent to their authority. Fight the jab. Fight them at all fronts. You guys are the best. Anyways, take care of yourselves. Be well. And have a good night.